What's up, Hood family? It's Matty Church. Welcome to another episode of the We Are Hood podcast. Church! That's how it happens. What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of the We Are Hood podcast. Church! I'm here with my boy, Bryant Moniz, man. Hey, I can't believe, again, I say it all the time. Your boy, Matty Church, is making it, man. The We Are Hood podcast, it's on his way. I mean, we got a local legend in the building. I'm just going to keep it real with you, right? I was doing research. I'm just doing research for the podcast, bro. And I'm just looking at it. I know he's humble. He's sitting there. He's gonna be like nodding, like, yeah, I know. Dude, I only put like a snippet off of the internet of what I could find. I mean, you're talking 3-year starting quarterback at Lelehua, nearly 1,000 yards passing each year, all state in football and soccer. I didn't even know you played soccer.
Hey.
Went to Fresno City College. 1 year there, passed for 2,268 yards, 18 touchdowns. Walk on UH, started 8 games in his first year, ranked 29th in the nation, 251 yards. Uncle's cutting in the back. We'll just see if it goes with it. Almost 2,400 yards and 14 TDs in your first year. Then your second year in 2010, almost 4,000 yards. 28 TDs. And here's one that was crazy. I never knew this one. La Tech, you had 581 yards of total offense. And I guess that counts like scrambling and passing and everything. And midway through that season, he led the nation in passing. I mean, the accolades just go and go. 1 game, 7 TDs in 1 half against UC Davis? Who does that? And then, I didn't even know this, but he's the third for yardage and passing TDs in UH history. Bryant Moniz, my man. Welcome to the We Are Hood podcast, man. I appreciate you coming on, dude. But just the accolades alone, my goodness, man. Just amazing.
First off, thank you, Matty, brother Matt, Church. Little I just learned about him, but thank you for having me on your podcast. We Are Hood. Glad to be a part of it, and glad to just kind of share my story and chop it up with you, as you would say, right?
Tell me about your younger days in sports. Did you ever envision you would have played pro ball and college and walking onto UH? How did you get to that? Where did it start for you?
Youth sports. I've always been in sports. My mom kept me playing sports year round. That was the way to keep me out of trouble. And pretty much all of my life lessons have been taught on a field. I started baseball from, I don't know what's the earliest age you could play. I think I was 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
Baseball and soccer, and that's kind of been my 2 sports for the longest time. All the way up until 6th grade was when the first time I played football. But baseball field, soccer field, baseball field, soccer field. Some days just playing both games, both sports. You finish your baseball game, then you got to rush to the next field, take off that uniform, put on the next uniform. But I enjoyed it, and I was good at it. I mean, fortunately, kind of anything that I picked up, I kind of have a natural ability to get good at something, especially if I love it and start to put time and effort into it. Like, I can pretty quickly. I could probably compete in tennis or whatever it is. Right. Minus golf. My golf game, man. I'm fetching golf balls out there everywhere.
You hit them real far, just in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they go. But we don't know where they go. That's the problem.
That's the problem. In the other fairway,
we gotta find them all the time. But I was kind of always naturally gifted at picking up sports and baseball. Like I said, I was really good in baseball. We played nationally and all-star teams and stuff like that. We always went. And in football, one of my teammates' mom, the Sateles, Lico Satele was my baseball teammate, and his mom was like, "Hey, you should try and play football." He's like, "I think you'd be good at it." And I mean, you play at the park with your boys, or on the street, light post to light post, but I never did play real football, organized football. So I was like, sure, I'll try. And if you asked me then if I knew I was going to be a professional football player, ask me after that first week, I probably would have told you, hell no, because I remember my first padded practice, I was getting lit up. I do meat grinders. I don't know if they can do it these days, but where it's just a line, the two guys, line up, and you're the one guy, and you just got to plow through the whole way. You just keep blowing the whistle, the next two guys come at you. Boom, plow through that. Next two guys come at you, plow through that. And they call that meat grinders. And I was the meat, and I was getting grinded. I remember watching the guys do it, right? The guys the boys that have been playing, and they just break through, and I'm just like, wow, okay, it's like, seems easy. And then I go, and coach is like, get low. And so I stay low, and boom, on my back. And it's like, get up.
Just get up, and
boom, on my back. And I start tearing. I'm like, golly, what? Oh, who signed me up for this? Like, this ain't fun.
You lied.
But long story short, that first year, I ended up becoming a running back. And we won the state championship that year 2000, in my first year of football. Wow. And I just fell in love with the game from then, and kind of, like I said, if I start to love something and put time into it, I kind of get good at it naturally. And that's
I played soccer growing up too, and a lot of times, to me, soccer is one of the best sports to learn as a young kid. Because your balance, your quickness, your footwork, it transitions to any sport that you need to play. And having to run and be coordinated with your feet is not a skill that a lot of people can learn or do naturally. And, baseball, hand-eye coordination has to be on point. You know what I mean? Whatever position you're playing, there's very little room for error when you're trying to catch a baseball. It's so... Do you think some of learning those sports prior to football and just having that natural ability aided you in being able to be successful at football?
Parents want to specialize their kids in whatever it is, baseball, right? Like, oh man, he's gonna be the next Colton Wall, Shane Victorino. You gotta hit ground balls every day. Don't have time for anything else. Baseball, football, whatever it is, right? But I'm a firm believer that through multiple sports, just like you said, you become a better athlete in the sport that you choose or he wants to become, right? So like for my kids, I sign them up in all kinds of things. My son's done soccer, baseball, football, basketball, judo, jiu-jitsu, just anything he can, try out. And through all of those, you're going to learn different skills. And one of those things he's going to love, hopefully. And whatever it is he loves, all those other things that he's done will help parlay into that. I see it a lot for football players, right? So DBs, what do they say about DBs? You know what they say about DBs?
I do not know.
Why are they on the defensive side?
Because they can't catch the ball.
Because they can't catch the ball, right? Can't catch the ball. If they just, and I bet if more DBs played baseball as a kid, they would learn how to track a ball in the air. Right? A lot of times it's the hard part of, as I'm running, guarding somebody, right? Now I got to adjust, or here comes a ball. I got to adjust my body and track that ball and make a play on the ball. But
right.
I think they haven't developed that hand-eye coordination.
You're right.
And I can see it. Even at the pro levels, you can see guys that's like, man, how did you miss that ball? But it's just not a skill that he's developed from a kid, right?
Right.
And so baseball will help with that. Soccer, I'm 100 with you on that you should play soccer as a kid. All kids should play soccer. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cardio involved, so it's good for your health. And then it's tough to do something with your feet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all pretty good with our hands, but that's because we use our hands all day, eating, pushing the remote, whatever it is, right? Catching,
totally.
But your feet, how much people can do stuff with their feet, right? So,
and you know what? You look at a lot of athletes, like Allen Iverson. He played football and he ended up playing basketball.
Right.
You look at I just was watching a documentary on Deion Sanders.
Oh yeah.
The greatest DB of all time. arguably or not arguably, however you want to cut it. Played 2 sports
Baseball.
professionally. Played baseball. You know what I mean? Bo Jackson. And even a lot of these guys who, you know, they think that they are a one sport athlete, but they don't realize they played multiple sports growing up.
Right.
And maybe when they get to a high school level and you're 6'4" football player and you can catch, you're probably going to be a tight end.
Yeah.
We'll say that. Okay, now we transition to you being focused at that. But all those skills you learned earlier on are going to make you a better tight end. And it's not just about being good at your sport. It's about having balance, not getting injured, being able to avoid situations, you know, things like that. Reading defenses, knowing trajectory. A lot of people don't realize, you know, like playing sports, there's a lot of like quick eye-hand coordination mathematics. And like even with a quarterback, you're throwing to an open space and knowing how fast he's running that you can throw it at a certain speed.
Right.
He's catching it there, and playing multiple sports and that eye-hand coordination, that trajectory is super important for anything.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, it's those are all things that kids just need to get out and play more. It's really what it is, you know. Whether you're playing in organized sports or just not playing with the kids on the street, you know, those kind of skills can be developed just from playing.
Yeah. Did you know early on, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years into playing football, that it was something that you wanted to focus on? And then you had, at what point did you kind of have the drive to be successful at football? At what age did that come where you said, dude, this looks like this is going to be one of my tickets?
Yeah, like, so I started playing football in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, right? Middle school. And then was part of some good Pop Warner teams. Like I said, our first year we won the whole thing. The next years we were good, but it wasn't until I don't know. I fell in love instantly, right? So I could say right from the get, but I think when I went to high
after the meat grinder thing, though,
not from the get. Way to keep me in check.
Yeah.
It was about a month later that I was like, hey, okay.
Yeah.
Starting
after I got good at the meat grinder.
Yeah, after I got good at the meat grinders. Let me just tell you a quick story. The next year, right? Because you got to take your lumps. And that's how the sport is. You got to take your lumps. But the next year, I was waiting for meat grinders. Because now I knew what I was doing and I was a little the older, you know. And I was like, right, let's go.
I'm going to grind somebody else.
Oh, look at this guy. He's new. He's about to get it. You used to be me.
Yeah, for sure.
Take it out on you. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when and what gave you that drive to be successful?
So I went to Leadville High School. Then my freshman year, played JV football. Was the quarterback for the JV team, and then we went all the way to the OIA championship. Lost to Kahuku.
Right.
But I realized we were good. We were really good in the sense that the varsity that year, I don't think they had a really good record that I can recall. But every year, I know the OIA, they kind of adjust, like whether teams move up in a division or drop down, right?
Right.
And our JV record, kind of from what I understood, at least what they told us, is that kept us in the upper division for the next year.
Right.
So. And then my sophomore year, they moved me up to varsity, which, I mean, it's not rare. You know, it happens a lot of times now, especially. But, yeah, I mean, I guess I started to get a little bit more confidence. Like, hey, I must be pretty good. You know, they want me to play vars. Right. Yeah, you know. And then that year was probably, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was a dream year in the sense that we went from, got to look this up. I don't know what their record was the year before,
right?
2003, but then 2004 we went all the way to the state championship game, right?
Right.
We lost to Kamehameha in the championship,
right?
But just that year to go from kind of nothing to something and kind of create something special amongst the brothers on that team that I had, and that kind of gave me like this. I don't know. There's something special about that year. So I'd probably say 2004, my sophomore year. It was kind of that light, like, hey, this is it right here. And I mean, a big part of it, I tell people too, because I played baseball my whole life, right? as a freshman, I was playing on the varsity team for baseball. We went to states. After my sophomore year of football, we played in a state championship game with like 19,000 people. That atmosphere and that feeling was something that I couldn't get enough of, I think. And that's just something I always wanted after that. So then you go from that football championship game of 19,000, then you go to baseball games, you got 19 people. It's like, kind of over this now. You know what I mean? Like, the action's over there. Like that's where it's at. And I mean that's kind of where that kind of came in for me. And
naturally, you know, you'll gravitate towards what has success.
Right.
And you know, you mentioned creating something special with your brothers. You know, tell me a little bit. I know it's a little off track, but tell me a little bit about, you know, being a teammate, being part of something bigger than you. Because when you play on a football team, a lot of people don't realize you're one of 50 guys, you know, and, you know, talking earlier, you know, football, whether it's pro, whether it's college, whether it's high school, man, people get hurt. You know, in high school, you're dealing with grades. There's a lot of reasons why you can go in and out of the rotation quickly. Talk to me about, you know, those experiences you had at a younger age in high school playing and being a part of that team, because it seems as though, you know, when you're mentioning that year, there's a little something in you that I think is really important at that time. Talk to me a little bit about being a part of that team.
That year is very special for me because I think it started with being the youngin on the team, right? A sophomore playing with senior guys, junior, and I remember as a freshman, you know, because you practice on half the field, JV practice, Vars practice, and to me, it always looked like, or when you look at the next level, it's like, wow, you know, it's like that's the next level. That's where we're trying to get to, and you look up to them, right? So when I was a part of it, it was kind of like, oh,
surreal.
Yeah, surreal. You know, it's like the lights got way more brighter. And
did that push you to be better?
I think maybe, I don't know. I always pushed myself to be the best I could be, right? And anything I could do. That's kind of who I am as a person. That's I don't know if it pushed me to be better, but I'm always one that's accountable, I guess. You know, accountable to myself, accountable to my teammates. And so, like I said, I had all these older guys kind of relying on me to be the guy, right? To be the guy under center that can help lead the team.
They brought you up now.
Yeah, it's like
show and prove that you belong. Right. Yeah,
and just the bonds that you make between teammates and in high school, I think it's super special in the sense that, like, especially if, not everybody has this experience, but I think for me, I was born in Wahiawa, you know, like at our hospital. I was raised in Wahiawa. So playing like for our town team, representing our town, the athletic facility is named after my grandpa, you know, like there's a lot of like pride that came with it. So it was kind of ownership. Yeah, just had to own it. And that's probably like a big part of what motivated me and pushed me to be the best I could be.
And, you know, it's funny that you say that, and I know we had this conversation, and we'll segue to it about Warriors Den. But, you know, even the fact when talking to you about expanding Warriors Den, and you're saying, no, I want to keep my business in Wahiawa.
Right.
This is my hometown.
Right.
You know, a lot of that comes from owning the fact that you are from here.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's a trait that a lot of local people have in general, right? We're so proud. I mean, you can't go anywhere else that you're going to see guys' zip codes tattooed on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a Hawaii thing. I can tell you that right now.
For sure.
But that's
with
just
a giant sticker on their lifting Toyota. 96, whatever, 94 block.
Yeah. It's unique to the place that we grew up, right? Like, everybody's so proud of their hometowns. And, yeah, that's something that I'm super proud of. And I mean, for me, it's a little harder because of the success I had at Hawaii, it's like I feel entitled to, or maybe not entitled, but I don't know what it is, but I feel like
you feel obligated.
Yeah, obligated, right?
Because all these people supported because they supported you all those years.
Right. So I mean, I feel like I owe more to Wahiawa because that's my hometown, but I also represent the state of Hawaii, right? That's
Right.
what was across my jersey on the front, and so now it's kind of like trying to find that balance, right? Of giving back to my town, but also giving back to my state, and yeah.
No. You know, a lot of again, I'm a little older than you, not a lot older
Not
than
a
you.
lot,
I'm a
just a
little
little
older than you,
bit.
but you know, you have a when I hear you speak and when we're going back and forth, even while we were at your house and we're walking up here, you know, you speak in a way and the things that you think about um, seem like they come from a place of wisdom, of thinking about what you think about, of really trying to know yourself at a deeper level. Were there anybody growing up that mentored you, that you looked up to, or you wanted to, you know, emulate, whether it was in college, whether it was in high school, or there's in Pop Warner, you know, who are those people, women, men around you? Is there anybody in particular who kind of like helped mold you?
Uh, I, I can't say I've ever had like idols. I'm just kind of one person that I never really was like, oh, I want to be like that guy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if anything, I saw like someone that was really good, and I used to think like, wow, how can I beat that guy? You know,
Yeah,
like
no,
that's kind of just my mindset. I never had that, but I definitely, I mean, I've had a lot of people mold the Bryant Moniz that I am today, right? That's how we all are, right?
right,
People that come across our lives and have impacts on us, whether in positive or negative ways, affect who we are today.
right.
And a few people I can name off the jump. My baseball coach when I was a kid, Terry Derby. Um, man, he was rough on us. It was hard, stern, old school,
Right.
and but he made us good baseball players, disciplined, hungry, um, competitive, and I took a lot from my years playing baseball under him. And then the first person that trained me for in the weight room, the person that taught me all my work ethic
Right.
in the weight room was my uncle Mike, uh, my uncle Mike Smythe, and we'd go to the gym. I started in seventh grade, and we'd go after practice like every day, Monday through Friday.
Right.
And he kind of taught me just everything as far as gym etiquette, work ethic, and all those kind of things. And you know, because that's at that age, right? You're a teenager, kind of like
Yeah.
lollygagging around
Yeah.
and just having fun
Yeah.
and going through the motions.
Only
But
want to bench. Don't want to do
oh,
no
yeah,
others.
but he was just like, you know, he'd set me straight a lot of times in the gym, like, bruh, quit fucking around.
Yeah. You're wasting my time.
Yeah, we're here to lift. Okay, get your set or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? But it was stern, it was hard, but and I feel the worst part about that is like now for like my other half or my kids, that's how they get. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's not worse because that's the real way to do it. Like
Right.
when we're in the gym, we're here to work, you know,
Yeah.
and we're here to get better. Let's put aside all distractions and let's work.
Yeah. Let's
You
hit
know what I
it.
mean? Let's build it. And so I took a lot of credit goes to him in building I guess the mentality I have and the work ethic I have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know the coaches, a lot of coaches, man. Like you want along the list of coaches that helped me throughout the way, but a lot of it has been in coaches. But my uncle Mike is definitely one of the big ones.
So would you say that some of those relationships um, had a large part of your success and even what you're trying to do now in an entrepreneurial aspect?
Um, yeah, definitely. Re- Life's all about relationships, and I think that's what I realize the most now. It's um, it's not about money. You know, money comes and goes. You can have all the money and be the most miserable person in the world, but it's all about your relationships with people, and I think that's what I really cherish the most now. So
Definitely.
um, I try to be the best friend I can be. You know, if you call me, ask me for whatever, or if you just ask me if I want to go hang out, if I
Or
ain't
be on a podcast.
be on a podcast, whatever it is, right?
Right.
I'm gonna be like, hey, yeah. If I ain't got nothing, why wouldn't I be there for you, right?
Right.
Um, so it's all about those relationships, and I think all the relationships in my life have definitely led me to the person I am today, and to into molding, you know, the business and entrepreneurial mind and all that stuff. That yeah,
You know, and I've said the same thing. You know, I firmly believe it. You know, people, you know, in entrepreneurial or business, people talk about a commodity is like, you know, how much money you have in a bank, or a commodity is something that, you know, you can profit from. To me, I think there is only one true commodity in the world, and it's not in a commodity sense where you're going to profit off it monetarily, but it's relationships. Nothing happens, nothing flows without relationships. And you know, for me, with podcasting, with doing my social media, you know, I'm a firm believer with podcasting is, you know, why I do it is because I want to build relationships with people, and you know, I want them to be able to tell their stories, and it's very important for me to give people that platform.
And it helps others, like you said. Right?
Yeah,
We are
helping
good,
others.
helping
Yeah,
others obtain dreams. Like that's really what it is, though.
yeah,
Like the relationships that I think that's my biggest thing. Is that's all I'm trying to do. Is help my kids be the best that they can be, and whatever it is. I don't care if he plays football or he plays anything, but he's gonna whatever it is, right? Whatever his dream is or whatever he loves, his passion. My daughter, I want to help them to be the best at that. And not only my kids, the next kids and the next kids and everybody's kids. Like
yeah.
why can't or not even kids, friends, anybody, right? Like
Right.
why can't we all eat? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Why
So
can't we all eat?
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to help in passing on the knowledge that I've gained through the mentors that have taught me and pass that on to the next, and that's all that is.
Speaking about passing it on to the next, you know, if you could sit with your 14-year-old self, you know, you're a freshman in high school, not knowing what you're going to embark on, you know what I mean? You're a freshman in high school. 4 years, 5 years later, you're starting quarterback for UH. What would you tell yourself at 14 years old? Would there be anything, and not that you would change anything, but what would you tell yourself? What knowledge would you impart?
Man, just staying focused. Stay focused. You know, I think a lot of times being focused 24/7, 365 is a hard thing to do, no matter what you're doing. Like, it's easy to get into a slump or to fall off, like what the real purpose is, right?
Right.
What the real goal is, because it's hard to wake up every day and go to work,
And grind out.
grind it out. My body is sore this day. You know, all the boys is going out this weekend. Let's go out instead. Whatever it is, right? Like it's keeping that focus throughout the long run that I think is what gets people to the next level and gets them to the top of their careers, right?
Yeah.
It's who can maintain focus and not lose sight of that the big picture, the goal, right?
Right.
The reason. So I think that'd be my advice to my old self is maintain focus, don't get distracted, and because I mean there's distractions, right?
Right.
And I've fallen off my wagon a bunch of times. Fortunately enough, I've been able to do a lot more right than wrong, right?
Yeah.
But I've also, tried to learn from those and wrongs to get better and become a better person and all those kind of things.
And I think we talked about it earlier with, you know, social media. Um, there's also people need to learn how to focus on not focusing. Take time out, but have a certain amount of time that you're gonna. If you want to lollygag, if you want to just go to the beach and lay on the beach and tan, do it. But plan it. Have an idea that okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna grind out 4 o'clock. I'm gonna do. And now this is my time where I'm gonna be able to downshift because we need to downshift sometimes. But people not downshifting will lead into them giving up. It
Yeah.
leads into them not having a plan and having unfocused time where you're allowing your mind to rest, just like your body needs to rest, is important too. Sometimes, you know, and I've made posts about this, is people want to get in shape. So they go and get a coach. And they go from not doing anything to working out 5 days a week, trying to eat super clean, not drinking alcohol, not seeing their friends because you're not going to sustain that. There's a certain balance that you have to be able to have an ebb and flow with your life. And when you are focused in what your goal is, you can put in those little times here and there that you can say, fuck it, I'm not thinking about this today, or not thinking about this for this next 3 hours. I'm going to be able to shift and power down.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a strong point right there. Because I mean, I'm kind of like always on.
Yeah,
It's kind of my mind,
yeah,
and
me too.
I'm just like always thinking like, oh, I could do this, I could do that.
Yeah.
Um, Shark Tank is my favorite show.
Oh, dude,
If
I
you
love
watch it,
Shark Tank.
I love that. And
And I'm not even looking at the products. I'm just like, how did this guy think about that? Like, dude, that's cool. And then when they tell their story about how they got to that, I'm just like,
the whole aspect of it, right? Like the
yeah,
creation, the pitch, the the
yeah. I'm
the,
looking at how
the
they stand. I'm
debating,
looking at how they
everything.
talk. I'm looking at how they interact with the shark. I'm looking at. I can see fear in their eyes sometimes. Like this guy, he's done.
Yeah.
He's done, dude. You know. And
So I,
then
I love that stuff, and you can ask my other half. I've pitched her a million different ideas, like, "Oh, this is it. Hey, this is it. Oh, we got to do this because,
right.
bro, this is the one. If we only do this, and then like, and I swear to God, like some stuff come up, and I'm like, tell me not, and I didn't tell you that 3 years ago,
Yeah.
But my mine is just always on in that sense, and
Yeah.
and a lot of times we need to kind of turn it off and just kind of relax.
Yeah. And I think sometimes there's that story that they talk about. There's two lumberjacks, and speaking of cutting, there's two lumberjacks, and the two lumberjacks have to cut down these trees, and one lumberjack goes to hacking at the tree nonstop for like 5 hours. The other one, every time he turns back and looks at this other lumberjack, he's not doing anything. And at the ending of this like 10 hours of cutting down trees, the guy who is cutting down trees has less trees cut down than the guy he was turning around and seeing sitting down. So he goes over to the guy. He's like, every time I turned around, I saw you didn't look like you were doing anything. What were you doing? I was sharpening my blade. So sometimes we want to hit life head on like a meat grinder, but it takes time for us. It takes time for us to acquire skills. It takes time for us to rest. In the NFL, in Canadian Football League, in high school, you play once a week for a reason. In pro football with the NFL, there's a reason why the Thursday game, if they play Thursday night, not going all the way to Sunday, it's a more apprehension because they only got 3 or 4 days of rest. They didn't get the full 6. So, there is something to be said. But again, the point that we're trying to make is it has to be a focused time of unfocused time. I think is the key.
Church.
So you're 14 years old. You go to high school. You do wonderful things in high school. I think did you guys win the state championship one year?
We never won a state championship.
You guys never won a state?
It was a year after I left. My brother won it.
Oh man.
So he's got that on me. In fact, is real quick. My brother, he was a center. He played center.
Yeah.
His freshman year was the same as mine. They went to the championship game, but they won it. Sophomore year, he played varsity as well. Went to the state championship game, same as mine. Just different story endings. And we know that I lost, so y'all can put that together, and then yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, no championships. Fell short. Never returned to that title game. And I think that's just another thing that made that year so special because it seemed so easy, like during that time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not easy to win games and all of that, but it's like, boom, win. You build it, and it becomes not effortless, but it's
things just click.
It's just like
happening.
You just got it right, and it's like, wow, we'll be back next year.
Yeah.
Junior year comes, get hurt. We don't even make it through the first round of OAs. Senior year comes, and I'm like, oh, I was almost certain. If you asked me after my sophomore year, I was like, oh, we'll be back. We'll win the next one. And never made it back. So it just goes to show like how special that year was,
Definitely.
And you start to appreciate that kind of stuff even more. It's like, oh, bro, that was a special thing we did. Even though we didn't finish it all and we didn't win it all, it's a special moment that we shared. But yeah.
So you went off to college. You went to Fresno City, played there for a year, and then you come back, and there's that story about you became a walk-on, right? You tried to walk on to UH, and you made the team, and but at that time you were like working at what was it? Pizza.
Papa John's.
So you're working at Papa John's. You're delivering pizzas, or you're And then it must seem some, a lot of times people see it as overnight where like now you're the starting quarterback. And I believe it was unfortunately due to, I think somebody got injury. And let me segue to this real quick. Hearing you talk about competition and speaking about people who are mentors or people you look up to and saying, I never really idolize anybody. I think it's something that I'm gathering from you. Anybody who's a true competitor, and I want you guys to listen to this, anybody who's a true competitor always wants to compete against a person at their best. I don't want to beat you or I don't want to win when you're not at your best. I want to beat you at your best. And you want to always challenge yourself to that person who's their best at that time too.
And to challenge the best.
Yeah, right? You always want to challenge the best. Yeah. So unfortunately, the circumstance happened and that other starting quarterback, he got injured, but it gave you an opportunity. And we talked about luck earlier, but luck is just when preparation meets opportunity. So tell me about that time where you go from you're on the team, you walk on, which must be kind of like, man, I'm on UH, delivering pizzas to like, now you're in the starting lineup and you're the quarterback for UH. What were the emotions? What were the times like at that moment?
No, it's not overnight, and it's a long process. And fortunately, I stayed focused throughout the grind. Right, before I even got to UH, I had to do 2 semesters at LCC just to get my credits to be able to walk on.
That's a lot of the stuff people don't know about or see.
Yeah, because there's so much talent here. There's so much talent. We got a special place. Talent and heart, local boys are all made of, right? And but unfortunately, a lot of us fall off because for whatever reason we lose track of the reason or the vision, right? Like we go to school and it's hard, or we come back home and it's like yeah,
you know
what I mean? There's nothing promised, right? I had to go to LCC for 2 semesters. You didn't even know who the heck I was at the time, right?
And that's coming off of. And the being able to humble yourself coming off of the year we were talking about where, you threw for 2,200 yards and 18 touchdowns, playing at Fresno City. And then now you're seeing yourself at LCC taking 2 semesters.
And flag football. That's all I did the whole year.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's staying focused.
Right. And I mean, to the point is like, man, I want to play football. I know I want to play football, but what is the steps I got to do to give myself just the opportunity to be able to do it, right? Nobody said I'm going to be able to play. Nobody said I'm going to make the team, but just to give myself that opportunity, what do I got to do, right? And fortunately enough, I was focused enough through that time. Because like I was saying, so much guys come home from JUCO because, I don't know, whatever reason, right? And then it just doesn't work out. But there's so much more talented guys.
Yeah.
We kind of touched about that a little bit earlier about taller guys, faster guys, better guys, but how come they didn't make it, right? So, fortunately enough, I stayed focused. I walked on, and even the walk-on process, I mean, it's crazy to think back now that you really want to dive into it, right? Because a lot of things that kind of just, it's cool. I did
it. Happened.
Yeah, whatever. But, like, and I remember being nervous as heck, like, oh, I don't know if I made it. I don't know if I, did I do enough? Did I run fast enough? Because you do like a little combine run, lift, and that's how they kind of judge you. It's like, oh, I hope I made it. I hope I made it. Am I going to get a call? And then, you get that call, and it's like, Mama, we made it. But all it is a walk on, like a tryout thing. Not like now you made it to the next phase. You didn't even make the team yet. But it was a huge thing for me, and I was stoked. So now I get hey, you made it. Go down to the trainer's office, do your physical, get your equipment, and that day is like, wow. When you get your locker,
it's real.
It's real. There's a helmet there for you. You got your UH shirt. It's like, man, I'm part of the University of Hawaii Warriors. It's super surreal. And every day at practice, I just went out and gave my all. I was there to play quarterback, but I went out for kickoff team, kick return team, punt team. Like I was just trying to make the team, and I didn't care what it was. I wanted to play. I wanted to be a part of the team. And long story short, you gotta beat out some guys. You compete, right? And unfortunately enough, because when I walked on, I was the 5th string quarterback. The 4th string guy ended up transferring out. I beat out the 3rd string guy, and that might have been because I was on on special teams, right? I was doing whatever I could, so I was on the backup kickoff team, backup kick return team.
You're adding value.
Yeah,
value to the
right. What I could
team.
what I can bring to the team, right? So, I think it was an even shake between me and Shane. It was Shane Austin. He was the other quarterback, right? But maybe that special teams just kind of gave me that nod. So, so I remember my first college play was almost a kickoff team, but unfortunately, Brent Roush, who was the second string quarterback at the time, he got hurt that week. So that moves me up the depth chart another one. So now I'm from 3-2, and that week we played Washington State, and for some reason, whoever it was didn't go out to do their job on a kickoff team. There was only 10, and I was like, oh, I get to play right here. This is my play. He's like, what? Who are we missing? Who are we missing? I just grabbed my helmet. I started running to the field. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get to play. I'm going to run down. Boom. I get about to the hash mark, and then coach calls a timeout. Timeout. Who the heck's supposed to be on the kickoff team? I was like, coach, I got it. He's like, get your ass off. He's like, you're the backup quarterback now. You can't get hurt. You're off all special teams. So I was like, oh, man, I thought I was going to get 2 plays.
Right.
But we ended up smashing that team, and I got to play later in that game, like in the, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, cleanup hours, rubbish hours, you know, when the game's kind of in the bag. And then another week later, Greg, he got hurt, and that was unfortunate. But like you said, opportunity, I was ready. And to me, I say you got to be a little bit lucky, because that's not lucky for them. And as a teammate, I don't ever wish that on anybody, right? But I was in the right place at the right time, where a couple injuries happened, and once I got the job, I never gave it back, right?
So obviously you've had a lot of big wins in your life, you know, with regards to playing professional and UH. Tell me about a time where you had a loss. What was any big losses in your life, and what did you learn from that?
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a lot of losses, right? You lose family members, which is big. Friends. But I mean, in the sports world, injuries is always a big loss. And probably my senior year at UH, when I broke my ankle, that was a big loss for me, because that's the time that it's supposed to parlay into getting ready for the NFL Pro Day. You know, I've had a lot of hype going into my senior year. There's the Heisman watch and all those kind of things.
Right.
Our Heisman campaign, and you know, like there's like these big plans where, I mean, we always dream to play at the highest level, right? The NFL. But then it's like, hey, this is kind of real. It's like, why can't that be me? You know, I'm pretty close.
Right.
I'm one of the top quarterbacks in the nation, and it's like, this could be me. But then, you know, so probably that was one of my biggest losses is that injury, the timing of it. There's only 4 games left in the season, broken ankle. Took me, I don't know, let's say I have a 5-month window to get ready for Pro Day, and this is like a 7-month process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was a big shot to my vision of how everything was supposed to play out.
Yeah.
To my plan, you know, it's
Right.
like, okay, we're gonna finish out this senior year, have a great year, go to Pro Day, go to Combine, get drafted, and let's go. We're here. Take care of the family. Let's do it. But then it never worked out that way. And
what did that teach you? What lessons did you have to learn during that time?
maybe this is that slowdown that we talk about, but this is unwanted slowdown, right? It's like I ain't trying to sit here. I'm trying to get moving, but now I can't move. I gotta sit on my back. I gotta watch TV. I can't. It's that man. Injuries is the humbler of all humblers.
Yeah, because you're not Superman.
You're not Superman no more. You're human.
Yeah.
And I remember, I came off that. I rehabbed. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm like, I got to make my way back to the NFL the hard way.
Right.
Arena. I signed up for Arena. I started playing. I'm doing well in Arena. And then I tear my knee. And it's like, golly. Just the worst timing. And setback. And humbling. Like you said, it's humbling, right?
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, I feel like I'm right there, but yet I'm so far now. Yeah. I'm reaching right there. And then
Because it's within your sight now.
It's within there.
You're getting calls from people. The whole thing is happening.
Yeah, and it's like you got to step back, and not by your choice, obviously. But I remember, and this time it was like 18-month rehab. This one was a bad one.
Yeah,
and 18 months of crying rehab. I mean, this was pain. This one was bad. I remember going through rehab, and I just wanted to walk. I said, just let me walk. I'm good with, if I can't play no more, like, that's all right.
Right.
Like, that's as far as I could see at that point. I was like, man, I just want to walk, make my knee good so I can walk. I'm good. But you kind of just, you take it one day at a time, and one session at a time, and just and slowly build it back up.
And there's a balance between focusing on your vision and sometimes needing to just look down in one step in front of you.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. There's a balance between both. You got to look up for that vision, but that everyday grind is what sometimes is the only thing you can do, and you have to just trust that vision is going to be there.
Yeah, you can only control the now, right?
Yeah.
So you just gotta take care of what you can, and trust that what you're doing is lining up towards where you want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
But you end up bouncing back from that, and you played some years in
Canada,
Canadian
up
Football
north.
League, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you won, for all intents and purposes, what is the Super Bowl? You were on the Stampeders.
Correct.
You won the Grey Cup in Canada, and that's like the biggest thing in football in Canada. How was that? I mean, again, just things that normal people don't get to experience. How was that?
And the experience it's crazy. And one thing I love about sports, football, but all sports, I mean, for me it was football, but it gave me this opportunity to experience a lot of things in life. Like you said, that maybe a lot of people ain't got the opportunity to, right?
Right.
I got to travel across the U.S. continent playing college games. Got to travel across the Canadian continent getting to play games. I mean, it's taken me plenty places. Football's taken me plenty places I've got to experience, and not only me but my family. That Grey Cup game, my daughter got to come, my girlfriend got to come, and we got to share that experience together, and that's a special moment that we'll always have.
And those relationships that you built on all of those teams too.
Yeah, I mean relationships that still hold today. Guys come down to Hawaii all the time, and then I get to share my home with them.
Because everybody wants to know somebody from Hawaii.
Oh, yes, yes.
We the best friends in the world, man. I mean, let's just keep it real.
And if you don't got one, you better get one.
If you don't got one, you better get you one. You better get you a Hawaiian. I tell you that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's remarkable, and like you said, the things you got to experience. But again, guys, it just hearing your story, it could have ended at the broken ankle. It could have ended at the blown out knee. It could have ended a lot of times in our lives.
Could have ended a lot. Could have ended before I even got to UH.
Yeah.
Could have came home from junior
Fresno
college and been like, I think I better work, or I don't know.
It could have ended in a night class in LCC.
Yeah.
But like you said, nobody knew me at UH. I walked on.
Yeah.
You could have had too much pride and been like, bro, I'm the quarterback. I'm not going to try out for trying to be on special teams. But you gotta do what the fuck you gotta do.
You just do it. I mean, and then it goes back to here's one thing about me is like, and this is what kind of led into the Warriors then, and the training. Why I love to do weight room training and that kind of stuff, physical training, right? Because I'm a firm believer in through the gym you can build your mind,
body,
right?
And mind.
It builds the body, but more than the body, it builds your mind. Like the pain you put yourself through, right? Ain't nobody forcing you to lift that weight, to get under that weight, but it's something we do to ourselves. But on top of strengthening our body, it strengthens our mind more. So when I got to UH, I always took pride in being like, to me, the hardest worker in the gym. Okay, because I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to better myself? I always spend a lot of time watching extra film, doing that kind of things. But for me, I spent a lot of time in the gym, and it just was to me. I was like, okay, I'm going to be the fastest person I can be, the strongest person I can be, and just take care of everything that I can control. And that's the one thing about the gym is you can control that, right?
Yeah.
The amount of time you put in the gym, the results will show.
Yeah.
And if you don't, the results will show.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's kind of that one place that it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed. You put in the work, the results will show.
Yeah.
And so when I got there,
effort is the great equalizer in life.
yeah, and I gave all my effort every time, and I think that's one of the things the coaches notice. Our strength coach was Coach Mel, and I remember him like pointing out to the coaches as they came around before they knew us, right? Because we're spending time with the strength coaches, getting us ready to go play spring ball. But before the coaches would come, they'd be like, he would come in and be, hey, this is. Well, then the coaches know who you are, but it's like, hey, he's been busting his ass in here. He's working hard.
Right.
And before I left the University of Hawaii, I don't hold it anymore. But inside the weight room, they have weight room records for every position: quarterback, running back, linebacker,
right,
D-line, run, whatever. And it's squat, bench, 40, shuttle, like all these kind of things. I think there's 5 categories.
Right.
And before I left, like maybe, I don't know, I might be more proud of this than it was the football accolades, but I was like, because all it is effort.
Yeah.
Right. So my goal, and I accomplished it, was to put my name on every category. So when I left there, my face was across every category for quarterback, all
Nice.
5 of those records.
Nice.
And I mean, obviously it comes with some ability, because you can't have the fastest one if you're just not a fast runner.
Right.
Right. You're not going to have the fastest 40, but at the
But the work you put in to get your name on those plaques gets you the accolades in the game.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
how I firmly believe.
It parlays.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like, I outworked you.
Yeah.
It's that plain and simple. Like, that's what the weight room stuff said to me.
Yeah.
It's like, probably, like you said, we all have the same 24 hours. But I don't know, while you were sitting on campus eating lunch, I was in the weight room lifting or whatever it is, right? So, like, to me, that it just gave me that mental advantage or that mental push. Like, I think, what was it, Mike Tyson and like Floyd Mayweather, they used to like running at like 2 a.m., right? Because they're like, oh, my opponent's sleeping, so I'm gaining that on them. So, like, for me, that's what the weight room was to me. It's like, bro, there's no way you can outbeat me on the field, because I've just pushed myself way more harder than you, right? Yeah, I've outworked you, plain and simple. and that's kind of a lot of my mentality and my grit on the field came from the weight room, and that was all instilled by my uncle.
Yeah, it's all the things that we do and at that time you're playing in front of cameras, you're on ESPN, but it's all the stuff that we do in the dark, when nobody else is in the weight room, when nobody else is watching. It's all those things that we do that are the seeds we plant for the crops that we're gonna be able to have later on. How has all of the things that you've learned playing sports, all of the trials, the tribulations, the places you've gone, the people you have met, how do you take those, and how has it transitioned to now having Warriors Den, being a coach yourself? I know now, and I know because of COVID, they've put back the seasons, but recently you got the position of being, I think it was offensive coordinator at Mauna Lua. And how is it all of that transition, and now you're imparting all of that knowledge and all of those things towards Warriors Den and your entrepreneurial space? How has that all kind of transitioned?
I think this all goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, and just taking all the things that was not handed, but the knowledge and passion of my coaches and uncles and stuff like that was shared with me, and passing that on to the next. And like I said, how much I love the training aspect of life is where the Warriors Den came from. And it's just taking my years of experience and giving that to the next. That's really what it is. But now I get to learn from the things that I feel like I kind of slacked on, right? So at the Warriors Den, we trained barefoot. Mm-hmm. I sprained my ankle, or I broke my ankle, right, going into my that senior year, 5 games left, which I think might have hurt my career. So a lot. I mean, we train barefoot to strengthen our feet. We do
All
a
those
lot
small
of
muscles and
small muscles, our ankle mobility, all these kind of things, right? The feet is the foundation. It touches the ground. It connects it. It connects us, right? So if you have a weak foundation, what's gonna happen to that house?
down.
It's gonna break, right? So I mean, so I'm a firm believer in training bare feet, strengthening the feet, doing a lot of ankle mobility, and a lot of things like that. Is ways that now I take what I wish I did, right? Things that maybe might have helped me in my career, and now I can give that to the next generation of players and things like that. So that's, I mean, that's where the Warriors Den is, or where it is as far as training, like things that we're about, things that I'm about. Because I wouldn't live how I used to live,
Right.
you know, like I said, that those records and things like that in the weight room, it's it was more so I think for me mentally than it is physically, right? Because I don't need to be benching. What did I bench? 225 27 times.
Right.
I don't need to be benching 360 pounds for one rep max. Look at Tom Brady. He probably can't even bench 135.
Right.
Right? So it's taking the stuff that I used to do and trying to be better. So if I could go back and train my 14-year-old self, I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what you need to do. It's not, don't be doing that. Don't be
Yeah.
doing all those curls. Don't be, I think we get so caught up in trying to look diesel, especially local boys. We like
Yeah.
to look. We like to look
Yeah.
solid,
And a lot of those other exercises you're talking about, they're not as fun to do. You don't get that same pump, like your arms aren't all tight, your chest not all tight. You don't feel that pump, but it's the stuff that builds the foundations, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody sees the brick. Nobody sees the concrete the house is sitting on. They notice how nice and beautiful the house is.
right,
They don't. They forget that there's an ugly piece of concrete.
right,
under
right,
there.
right. And it's not the funnest, or it's not like the coolest looking thing on the gram.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, look at him. Oh, he's benching 315.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this guy's only benching the bar. It's like,
But when
hell,
you
why
look at
why
guys,
are they only doing the bar?
when you look at guys like LeBron James, you start watching their actual training videos. They're doing a lot of exercises that are core strength, single sided. All of these things that are more health related as opposed to just. And those are the things that allow them to keep dunking after 18 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's the recipe is there, right? You look at guys like Tom, LeBron, they've been playing for how many years?
Yeah.
But then you look at guys like, I don't know, I'm not a big basketball guy, but I think Dwayne Wade was always hurt, right?
Yeah.
Or, what's the Bulls guy?
Oh, Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose, always hurt, right? So it's like, man, like what is their recipe? Like what? I mean, I think genetics is a big part of it.
Yeah.
You gotta be fortunate, but then I think it's the training. How can you prepare the body for the task that you need it to do?
Yeah.
So for like my athletes, we do a lot of mobility, we do a lot of flexibility, and then we work the explosive movements, right? We get them ready. We get them ready to go too.
Right.
Like don't get it twisted. Like we're not just doing yoga kind of stuff in there,
Yeah.
but we cover more. I like to cover more A to Z, because the best athlete is the athlete that can stay on the field.
Boom.
And I mean, and that's the plain and simple truth, right?
Yeah.
You're only as good as you can be if you're available.
Right.
If you're unavailable, like, hey, you're cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you see a lot of times, in the NFL, you watch basketball, there are a lot of injuries that aren't because maybe somebody clocked them in their knee, or they could simply be making a turn on the turf.
Yeah. I broke my ankle without even being touched. I was sliding, doing the safe play, giving myself up, and foot got stuck in the turf, snapped my ankle. But maybe if I had more mobility in my ankle, that might have turned into a sprain instead of a break.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
these are the things that I firmly believe that because I experienced, now I get to help and mold these other young athletes coming up.
Yeah.
And not only athletes, I mean, at the den we train adults as well. I have a mama's class, and I mean, as humans, right? We all, I mean, on top of looking good, we all want to look good, right? We all want to look our best, but on top, I think we just you want to
Be healthy.
be healthy. You want to be healthy to live your longest life, to be able to play with your kids, your grandkids, to be around, right? and health is wealth.
Yeah.
So I think that's where my vision is with the den. Is as much as it is trying to help my athletes, I'm trying to help my parents as well. Just to give them the best tools that they can to not only train their bodies but their mind. I think it's a lot of it is a mindset, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of us
Because I'm sure when they come to the den, there's times you're pushing them to where they want to quit.
are they tired. I mean, a lot of people work 9 to 5 jobs. It's hard to go to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
To set that hour aside to punish yourself worse.
Yeah.
But I think, man, there's something special about the gym that just it changes people.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know.
a firm believer
I
in
don't know
that
what
too.
it is, but it can change people's outlooks on life. You know what I mean? Like how much more vibrant they are, how much more excited they are about life when they're, they start to feel good, feel change, excited about themselves.
Yeah.
And man, I just love doing that. I love seeing that part of them. And then because it's all a groove, and once you get in a groove, like you ain't gonna lose it.
No.
It's like, oh, I gotta work out today, because that's when you made it. Because like when the moms they start training, it's at first they're kind of like, they're just doing it. But now
When they start,
I know there's days
when you don't have to push them and they're pushing themselves.
Well, I know there's days like today. They got together on their own and went and got a workout in.
Nice.
Like as a group. I mean, but it's not just me. Like it's it's the group, like them holding each other accountable. Like there's a lot of special things about it, and it's a cool thing to see, and I love it.
So let me ask you this. Now you've really transitioned into an entrepreneurial space. You have your business, the Warriors Den. You're coaching. You're really progressing. What does the Warriors Den mean to you? What is its legacy gonna be? What is it gonna grow into? What does it actually mean to you? It seems more than just I'm gonna train people. What does it mean to you?
It is my legacy, right? It's my knowledge that's being passed on to the next, and hopefully that will help to mold that person into a strong-minded, willing, powerful, humble, hardworking human being that can help society. And I think this goes back to kind of what we're talking about, like our hometown roots and being proud of being from Wahiawa. So like for the den, I hope to one day get it to a commercial property in this town that can be for all of Wahiawa people to train at. Like right now, the training is all done in my house, but we can only fit so much. But so one day the goal is to open it up to accommodate more of people from my town and from the whole state. If you want to drive from Hawaii Kai to Wahiawa, hey,
yeah,
you can come too.
Yeah.
We don't discriminate where you're from, but I think it's just sharing knowledge. That's really what it is. I've never really been too big on myself, like one thing about, I think a lot of local boys are like that. We're humble, just at heart, right? My football accolades, like it doesn't mean all that much to me because, it wasn't just me. I didn't run the ball after I caught it. I didn't throw it and catch it myself and then run for touchdowns and block the D line. Like, football is a beautiful game in that it's a team game. If I always said, like, this was after I got hurt.
Right.
After I got hurt, this might be going off of what you were getting at or asking about, but this just came to me, and I thought of, like, as I was laying there trying to rehab my ankle and just hoping to get back, I was like, man, I had all these trophies in front of me. The MVP, I was awarded our football team's MVP award for 2010 and 2011. And I had, WAC Player of the Week footballs and all these kind of, trophies and accolades, right? And I'm sitting there at home on my couch, just nursing my ankle. And I'm thinking, like, man, all this stuff in front of me is worthless. It's worthless. Like, it's just material stuff that says, oh, hey, he did this. Mm-hmm. He did that. I said, but if I could, I would give all of this back just to play one more time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I always said, if I got to go back, if I ever won, I don't know, let's just say an MVP award, like in Canada or whatever it was, right? I would turn it down. I was hoping for the opportunity because I feel like I'd be the first one. I'd be like, oh, thank you, but no, thank you. I said I didn't win this. This whole team did, and and I think a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people want to, have their name as the all-time greatest this or the led that. Like I don't care about that,
Yeah.
right? Like I always cared about, I think, the team, right? And I think that's what ties into my legacy with the Warriors Den, with the Hawaii Football Academy, with any of my businesses that I do is just trying to help others
Yeah.
obtain dreams.
You see? We there, brother. We there. But you know what? And I think of the word warrior, right? A warrior's greatest accolade is being on the field of battle. That's what you are bred and made to do. It's not about coming back to a parade. It's about doing your job on the battlefield. It's about being there with your comrades in the field of battle. And the greatest accolade that you can ever have, and I played sports. Obviously, you play sports. Is and tying it into, I hear all of these things and speaking about community, about being a part of Wahiwa, about being a part of Hawaii. It's about doing your part on your team, whether it's your family, whether it's your city, your state, your community, your football team, your soccer team, your baseball team. It's about being the best you can be, not because of you wanting to get an accolade of being the MVP. It's about doing it because you did your job. You pulled your weight and you pulled your part of what you needed to do for this team to succeed. And I think, being from Hawaii, growing up in Hawaii, we understand that. And I think that's a lot of times why we have a lesser of the problems that some of the rest of the country has or the rest of the world has, because we understand at a deeper level community, where it's more about how we can raise other people up as opposed to just trying to stand out.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with a friend of mine. The only reason why we do stand up and stand out is so we can reach back and pull the other people with us. And, when I hear Warriors Den and I watch what you do on social media, training all these people, I think that's really what your legacy is going to be, is that you did the things to get to where you were, and you're really reaching back now into your community, into the people that were just like you 20, 30 years ago, those kids, and you're imparting the things that other people gave you. And that's what We Are Hood is about, and that's why I asked you to be on the show. And it's I think that's the greatest legacy any true leader can have.
I don't want to blow up the feed with the same line, but church.
Church. Oh man. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us how can somebody get in contact with you? Tell us about Warriors Den. What are all the all the nitpicky stuff about?
Yeah, for sure. Social media is the best way to probably get in touch with me, through any of my social media pages. Warriors Den, Mighty Mo is my personal page, and the Hawaii Football Academy. You can message me on any of those. The Warriors Den, like I said, we train out of my house in Wahiwa, and we do trainings 4 days a week: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Minus the little kids, they'll train twice a week.
Right.
Yeah, little kids will train twice a week. Just because I mean, for kids, parents, don't push your kids so much, man. Like, let your kids be kids. Mm-hmm. And that's why I only train the young kids twice a week.
Right.
Because
if you're a parent, you're probably better. They will probably follow your lead if you're better off being healthy, training, and staying steady on what you got to do
as adults.
As an adult,
yes,
your kids will eventually. But if you over there, snacking on burgers, eating French fries, drinking Coke, but you're over there trying to get your kid to go to practice 5 days a week. They ain't going to end up wanting to practice.
I mean, the best way to follow somebody is or the best way to lead somebody is by example, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to tell them, hey, don't do drugs, and you over there doing drugs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So in the same sense, like as parents, and that's the hard part because a lot of times it's hard to hold ourselves accountable for things, right?
Right.
Like telling them to, you know, I don't know, get out there and exercise, but yeah, we don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a lot easier when you're doing it yourself, and trust me from example that if you do get out there and move, like your kids will follow.
Yeah.
My youngest is 2 years old, and I mean, I own the Warriors Den. We're training all the time,
Yeah.
so he sees it all the time. But it's obvious that he lives around a gym because he'll pick up a med ball or he'll do ladders.
Right.
He obviously ain't doing it right, but he's doing the fundamentals.
He's moving.
Yeah, we're doing bear crawls, and he'll do a bear crawl,
Right.
or like he, you know. But I can assure you that that's because he's just around it, right? So as parents, as adults, like the best thing we can do is be great examples,
Right.
and the better example we are, the better chance it's just gonna give our kids, right?
Right.
I believe, like I could take any kid, no matter the genetics, from birth, and like make them a warrior. A warrior in the sense of just like strong-minded, strong body, and because kids are just they're blank slates.
Yeah.
Like this is my perspective. Kids all have blank slates. So, and I've heard it before, like about I think they've done studies about like, oh, if you tell a kid they can't draw, or you tell him his artwork is ugly, then he'll believe it, like, and he'll never be able to draw. But if you like feed their minds and bodies and give them positivity and like all these kind of things, I feel like I could build any kid to be a champion.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, and through our conversation that we had on the phone before we started cutting the podcast, you know, guys, again, we are Hood Warriors Den. When you're a warrior, it's not just about your body. It's about your mind. It's about your spirit. It's about your heart. There's a lot that goes into being the most productive person you can be and being the best that you can be. And that's what it's really about. You know, again, focusing so much on the accolades. The reality is, any pro sport you play, you're going to be playing that sport. I think that average NFL contract or player plays for like 3 or 4 years. I think
2 years.
2 years. 2 years, the average. Guys, they're going to have a high and they're going to come back and they're going to be regular citizens and regular people with families and trying to buy a house and live their lives. And regardless if you're wanting to be a pro athlete or if you want to be a doctor or if you want to just raise a good family or be a good parent, whatever it is, you got to do what's hard so life is easy. When you do what's easy, life is hard. And that's quintessential at what being a warrior is. Putting yourself every day in a place of discomfort so your mind can push you through it. And that's what being at the Warriors Den to me sounds like.
It is. Man, I just want to quickly touch. I think maybe, I mean, this is way off. It's not off, but I thought back to the question of what was like my biggest loss or downfall, you know, and I more than the injuries was getting cut. This last year when I got cut in 2018, man, it was depressing. It was like first time I had like real life depression, and like I felt like, man, I didn't want to do excuse my language. I didn't want to do shit.
Yeah.
I was busting ass, you know, just my same old self, killing the weight room, running, doing everything I could to get me the opportunity to start. And then when I got let go of that, I fell into a pretty dark hole that I think a lot of athletes will fall in. And this all came from you talking about they're going to become regular citizens. And I think a lot of athletes will deal with depression once they lose that title of being an athlete or being, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like this whole time I've been a football player. This is what I do. This is who I am. And then when I got let go, it's like, oh,
yeah,
wow, like that was a dark time for me. I didn't run, I didn't lift, I didn't touch a weight. I had no motivation for anything. And so I think just to shed light on a
That's
dark
real
area,
shit, man.
you know what I mean? Like, because I know there's a bunch of guys that go through that.
Yeah.
It's almost like, for me, it's all as much as it's not about the accolades, right? This is who I was for the longest time.
Right.
And now you take that away, it's like, who am I?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like ask my other half. She'd probably tell you the same thing too. Like that was probably the darkest time that she's seen, and that was like a good 2 months, that I just had no drive, no motivation, no anything. So
let me ask you this, because it sounds like, and again, I tie it into being a warrior. And like how you said, when they come to the Warriors Den, it's not, to me, not just about being an athlete. You trained your whole life to be an athlete, to be a football player. But if you're training to be a warrior, it doesn't matter what you do. You're a warrior if you're a lawyer. You're a warrior if you're a firefighter. You're a warrior if you're a teacher. You're a warrior if you're a garbage man. It doesn't matter what you are. But if you're training at the Warriors Den to be a warrior, all of the other things that you end up doing are not who you are. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, all those things happening to you, I just got chicken skin, ties into the idea that we're not building football players. You're not coming here just because you want to be a football player. We're building you into a warrior. So anything that happens to you in life, because you're going to blow your ankle out, you're going to blow your knee out. But if you're a warrior, you find a way to make it back onto the battlefield, because you're only as good as you are if you're available.
Yeah.
And you got to be available to life. You got to show up every day.
Yeah, because life is 24/7.
24/7.
And it's going to knock you down all the time.
Yeah.
And, man, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep.
That's just from me gathering from what we're talking about, man.
Yeah, because, it's, like you said, it's not, what was that line you gave about what we do or, who we are?
Not, when you're building people to be warriors, they are a warrior. What they do is what they do.
Yeah. Right. And that's huge, because I'm telling you this, I think this is why so much athletes, not the CTE thing, I don't know. That's a whole other
thing, right?
But, people blame that, but I think it's a lot just to do with depression, and because we're so associated with that's who we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lose our identity.
It's like a loss of an identity. And if that's been your identity for the last 15 years, you know what I mean? And now you ain't nobody, because we all
don't see yourself as anybody.
Right. Because we were talking about this earlier, like how guys get cut. We're all just, we're just a pawn on the board, right?
Yeah.
And the next pawn can easily take your place. So, I think building not only the body but the mind to be a warrior for life, a warrior of life, that's ready to conquer anything, right? Whatever comes our ways. It's that's what we about, man. That's what we about.
That's what it's about, family. Man, I really appreciate you coming on. This is probably one of my more enjoyable podcasts, only because I played sports. I've known you for a while. And just hearing that perspective of somebody who played at such a high level and who's trying to give back, I think is more important. Again, guys, go check them out. Warriors Den.
Warriors Den.
Hawaii Football Academy.
Hawaii Football Academy.
Mighty Mo on Instagram. Go check them out. And again, you want to be an elite athlete, you got to be a warrior. And that's what it comes down to, family. Another episode of the We Are Hood podcast. My brother Bryant Moniz. They call him Mo, reaching back to pull up Hawaii's youth, reaching back to make people warriors in life. We Are Hood podcast. One more episode in the bank, family. Live, put in, prosper. Church!